Welcome to Solutions from the Yard, a candid discussion about life behind bars and its effect on society. We'll discuss reintegration or reentry back into the community post-incarceration. Your host for this episode is Michael Dickerson L.
Welcome to Solutions from the Yard, and we have a very good show for you tonight. And we got a brother, man, that that I grew to love through his struggle and also through my struggle. And we met in the struggle. We have a guest tonight. He's the founder of We Fit DC, if you haven't heard. And this brother is going to grace us with his presence. Tonight we have my cohort, Charles Hopkins, and Dietrich Trent, and Joe Houston. And we're going to get this thing started and just give the audience a preview of what Return to Citizens can do and what they bring to the table. Mr. Houston, introduce yourself.
First of all, I'm excited being here. My name is Joe Houston Jr., also go by Mr. We Fit. I'm DC native, born and raised, specifically from the Great Ward 8 and a Ballou alumni.
Thank you. Give me a little something about, your upbringing and, where you from and how did life go for you as a young man?
Yeah, definitely. I was born in Washington, D.C., in Washington Hospital Center. I lived in Northeast probably until I was about 6, 7 years old, up to about 11th Street. My grandma passed in early 2003, so we ended up moving to Southeast. And from there, we moved to Washington View, and I was just bouncing all around Southeast Savannah Terrace, Washington View, 6th Street. So growing up, it was the usual between youth struggles and stuff going in poverty environments. It was very violent, aggressive. Father wasn't really in my life like that growing up. My mom was suffering from crack, academic, a lot of that, a lot of issues with that, child protective service. So my sister and my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, took custody of me and my younger brother at a very young age because my mother legally couldn't because she suffered from schizophrenia. She was in St. Elizabeth. How child protective service got really involved in my life was my mom took us to the hospital 4 times in one day. It was something wrong with my kids. But she never hurt us or anything like that. She just was a loving mom, but she was just going through certain issues that was out of my control, and I didn't really understand as a kid. But that's just a little glimpse of how my upbringing was, just being raised by my sister and my brother-in-law. Then my sister had a mental breakdown, and I ended up moving with my biological father that I had a lot of resentment towards. And this time I'm 13, 14 years old, so I'm a little more aggressive. You're not going to do nothing to me. You really wasn't in my life. My mom passed in 2008 when I was 14 years old from AIDS. And it just was graduating into violence, smoking, robbing people and stuff like that.
If you don't mind, when you got incarcerated, what was your charge?
Yeah, I had a violent charge, attempt murder. I shot 3 people as a kid, but they dropped it down to assault with intent to kill, pistol, just beefing, going to Ballou Senior High School. It was a situation. It was me or the person situation, and I shot one of the person that I was intending to shoot, but ended up shooting a person that went to Ballou with me.
Right.
And that's how they found out who I was and identified me. But yeah, it was a violent charge.
So that's what brought you to prison. So when you first came to prison, where did you go?
DC jail, but I just went to Wackenhut.
Right.
GL,
that's where we met.
Yeah, GL Rivers. That's where I spent my time at.
Yeah, because, just to give a little history on, the brother, how me and him met each other. We met each other in prison. And the brother used to come to our services. And, that's how me and the brother met. And, I really didn't know him like that. I just remember because you had them dreads then. So then when I seen the pictures of you, I was like, oh yeah, I remember him. I remember him because you was in the picture one time with Holloway Hill.
Oh yeah,
and y'all was in the gym together.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, where I know him from? And then he was like, oh man, that's little JoJo that was down Rivers with us. He had dreads then. I was like, okay, now I know. I can remember because he used to come to the services. Yeah. So that was our introduction. And I want to say when you came into the prison system, what was the turning point for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. The turning point for me was when I first got locked up over DCJ. I was 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? I was Title 16 charged as an adult. Scared as hell. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I was scared. When I found out, I thought I was going to YC, Youth Service Center. And they was like, oh, no, take him out of scale because I was down there. And they was like, no, take him out of scale. He's going over DC jail. And some of the other kids, they was like, oh, man, he going over that quack. He going over. And they was like, man, keep your head up over there. So I'm really like nervous, like, oh man. So I'm like, it's real time. So I got over DC jail, going through that R&D, that whole transition, just smelling that R&D over DC jail. I was like, this is different. End up getting to my unit. And from that, I was just being still territorial with like other kids like Southeast, Uptown, Northeast, still fighting and still with that mentality. But I didn't really know anything about like law and stuff like that. So my lawyer used to tell me, because I had one of my juvenile lawyers from like a juvenile charge as well, was like, hey, stay out of trouble. You might come home. So I'm really believing like, okay, if I don't fight or anything in here, I can go home. The whole time to know that's not true. Like, that's not true. So I just started getting impatient, like going to my course, and I'm realizing like, whoa, I'm really facing some time and I'm not going to be coming home soon. So getting irritated, start getting in fights when certain dudes say certain things to me. I started being violent. And eventually, I came one of my good guys was like the head detail on a juvenile block. He just he went home. He beat his case and he went home. And I was like, I got promoted to head detail on the juvenile block, and that just opened my hand up like certain jobs and stuff working while I was incarcerated. But my transition, my pivotal point is when I actually went to North Carolina. When I came to North Carolina, because I still, even when I got over DC jail, I still was very territorial. When I came out of North Carolina, I was over DC jail for 2 years. When I went over, walked across the catwalk, I was over there for like 2 months because I was already in transit. Went out whacking her. I was there for a little while, and that's when I was about to fight, Mousy. I was about to fight his cellmate. Yeah. I was talking to him nasty, like I spit in your face or something like that. And I remember I was about to get out of the shower because I knew I ain't come out with my slippers. I put my shoes on because we just had that transition, me and his cellmate. And I was like, he might try to sneak me when I get out the shower. So when I get out the shower, Mousy called me. And I don't really know Mousy like that. I just know like, oh, this guy been in about 19 years at the time. He was like, JoJo, let me talk to you for a second. So I walk in the cell and I'm like, dang, this old dude probably try to beat me up. Like, so he was like, man, I heard you talking to Cruz, man. You can't talk to another grown man like that, man. He said, I see you on the step. You still drugging. You still doing little stuff, man. You gonna go home the same way? Literally, like, I just opened up to that conversation. That simple thing, what he was just saying. Right. And basically it was like he took me under the wing, and I just like navigated to him, moved in a cell with him. He was exposed me like books to like the new Jim Crow, reading other type of books. He also was a tutor too, so he was showing me like math, reading, like exposing me to different stuff. And I was just like, wow. And I really took even like certain scripture and things like that. I was really taking heed of this guy. So it was my will, just knowing I was better than that, and I wasn't the monster that they were trying to perceive me to be. I was a human being, and I'm always feel that I was a loving person. I just feel that like people trying to bully me and always fighting and stuff like that, it just made me aggressive and made me violent. So that was my pivotal point, I would say, Mousy.
Okay. Yeah. And I just give a little brief information about the brother, because he's one of the pivotal people in Refit. Yeah, just give us a little something so the audience will know. Yeah,
definitely, Mousy. He been home. He actually came home in 2016. I went to Wackenhut to go pick him up. He served 23 years. He been there since he was 18 years old. So when I was born in 93, he went in March 93. So I still was in my mom's stomach when he went in. So he did the Lorton and stuff like that. And also, my business partner, a mentor, a / like father figure, big brother, just someone just like literally have my best interest. And it's not always the good advice either. It's just, and that's when somebody really got your best interest. Exactly. When they tell you, so, nah, JoJo, yeah, that's good right there. Nah, so even when WeFit was growing and when I was speaking in front of large crowds, I used to be nervous, and I used to be like, Mousy, I don't know what to say. and he'd give me first line, and I just run with it, and just to see how I grew. And he was like, "You talking better? You doing a lot better in front of these big crowds." So that's how it's my guy.
Mr. Hopkins, what you have for JoJo? What questions you have?
I want to go back to like your early upbringing and juxtapose that to what we see today, right? Because I know that, like you said, you in Southeast, and we already know I'm Southeast, all things Southeast, and we know that right now they marginalizing the children, and they, everything there is like throw the baby out with the bathwater. What do you see, and when you compare what you went through as a young man, how do you see that the kids today having that same disposition, and what would be your advice for them based on your experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And how I feel about that, because I mentor a lot of youth. I also coach Little League football with Marshall Heights, so I deal with a lot of at-risk boys. And they swear they up and down, they street dudes and they killers and stuff like that. And they really good kids for real. So what I say to them, the best thing I say to them is just be in situations like this, be around positive people like me. It don't have to be someone that went to jail or someone like that, but be around people that got your best interest and just want you to be around. That's one of the best advice that I get to them. If people was willing to give you a hand, because someone was willing to give me a hand when I was a kid, one of my, like going through child protective service, they provide you with therapist, mentor. It was a guy trying to show me how to do build a computer from scratch, and I used to just duck them. Every time he used to come looking, I'd go outside, or they was like, such and such looking out for the little Ethiopian guy looking for you, and I used to just been ducking them, and that's stuff that I regret to a certain degree. And so just take opportunity. Life is about opportunity. I don't believe opportunity come once in a lifetime. It's how you identify different opportunities. So that's what I would tell them, is just be grateful and stop acting like everyone owe you something, and just be willing to just be open to people.
And full disclosure, JoJo is a Pivot graduate. I graduated from Pivot, so we alumni. We got that in common. But let me ask you this here. In terms of once you went into the institution, because like you say, you're young, and we were just talking about this when we was at the one of the program, when we got a support group on staying on track, and we was talking about when you come in the joint, that you're going to be tried. And like you say, when I went in the Maryland Penitentiary, and all that time before I went to Maryland Penitentiary, I was in the cell block. And the cell block was like basically like this room in terms of like structure. When I went to Maryland Penitentiary, the Maryland Penitentiary was an old train station. And I had to walk all the way down the flats. And I'm looking up in the air, and I'm saying, I just got a life bit. And I'm saying to myself, like, what the hell going on with me right now? How I'm going to get out of this right here? Did you have that kind of like hit you when you got in like what we call the big leagues? Did you get that kind of, feel that kind of way when you got in that kind of environment? And how did you mentally adjust yourself to say like, that you going to survive it? Because at that point in time, you got to make a decision. I'm going to survive this, but we already know that you can't beat your way out of prison.
Right.
It's built for, prison ain't built for speed, it's built for distance. So how did you survive that? How did you make that mental adjustment?
Yeah, that's a great way. Like I said, when I first knew that I was going over DC jail, I was like nervous. My mind was like blown up, like, dang, what I'm going to do. And so when I got over it, when I went through the R&D and stuff like that, I started my first exposure to real life, seeing like transgenders, and like I'm seeing them, like they got me in a little cell by myself because they didn't want the adults to be around. But I'm like watching men like with boobs and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like this is different. And when I got to the unit, everybody was just banging on the door, just going crazy. Juvenile blocks was wild. You got a lot of people in there for murder, killing, and stuff like that. Even some rapists that age. And so I'm like, I'm going to have to turn up. And I was like, at that time, like 118, 120. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I got to get my weight up. So I was like, that first night, literally when I got in the cell, because for some reason I got to the unit really late. And it was probably like 1, 2 in the morning. I got to I don't know what was going on, but I got to the I ended up started just doing push-ups in the cell literally that night, and I didn't know what was going on. So the lady, they ain't bring a mattress on the bed yet. So I ended up putting the pillow there and laying. She said, oh no, you got to get your mattress. And because I thought you just lay on the bed and it was just like that. But I started doing push-ups that night, and I was like, I got to lock in. And that's how, and it actually happened to me twice, Charles, even when I transitioned to the adult block. That was another transition for me. Like, okay, I'm 18 years on my 18th birthday. I'm going to the adult block. And that was another transition, just seeing everybody, seeing all these doors and stuff like that. I was like, wow. So it just settled, I settled around, of course, like knowing people that I knew or from the streets or went to school with. I settled and they was like, yeah, just cool, just chill over here. So just listening and being aware and being reserved, basically.
Did you what you have for JoJo?
Glad to hear your story. It's a wonderful story, and continue more success. Hearing how mental illness affected you growing up as a child through your family, and I want to know now that you have We Fit DC, and I seen it, and I'm so happy it's you sitting over here. I didn't even know who ran We Fit, but I'm happy to see that you in the seat, and I will honor the seat and protect the seat always. Okay, bro. But I want to know, how do you incorporate mental health awareness now today that we know in the Black community is such a stigma? And we both, we all work out, because when we was in prison, and, working out is part of keeping our mental apart. But we never really got that clinical aspect work to the mental. Now today, and I want to, how do you incorporate knowing that, yeah, we need the body as well, but also the mind as well, to be physically apart? How do you incorporate that, or maybe let me ask you, are you incorporating that into your workout to We Fit DC?
Yeah, absolutely. With the wellness. So to be honest, it's a lot of signs that back like physical activity connects to like mental and like stress release and stuff like that. So of course that's one, like doing physical activity, and also just like checking in. I check in with like a lot of like my clients, because my movement is a social impact. That's why I love my business so much, because I did like a lot of social impact. Like I'm really helping people and getting paid at the same time. So just like checking in with people or catering, like when I started off doing like these activations, these big events, I catered them to certain, if it's cancer awareness, we're going to do that. If it's mental awareness month, we're going to just cater. So I try to find things to cater around social issues. If it's gun violence, we're going to put guns down, we're going to put gloves up. And I also like certain partners that, certain therapists, psychologists that I talk to, that they was willing to support me to come speak to people. Like even with my gym, like I got partnerships with like Life Enhancement, these different type of institutions. They can help and provide services. So what I can do is just connect them through me. Like if you really need to go speak to someone or something like that, I can also help. So that's how I use that, because physical activity definitely connects to like mental. Because I had a female a couple of weeks ago came, and she was like, I'm going through. I'm like, you okay? And she was like, I'm going through, like, can I just come in there and hit the bag? It's like, yeah, and that really, so she burned out for about 30 minutes, and I was just watching her hit the bag, and I'm like, wow, she really like some relationship issues, and she was really serious, like, and then going hard hitting the bag, and she was like, JoJo, thank you, this helped me out so much. Same with a young guy, he was working for the museum DC, and he came. I remember the first day I met him, and he came, and he just came home, and he was like, I can come in here and work out? And I was like, yeah. And when I was talking to him for a while, I'm like, okay, he got something, like, it's something mentally going on. And he just came in there. Every time he'd be putting on like some rubber gloves, he'd come in there and work out. I don't charge him or nothing. I just let him, because I don't know. I might be blessing this dude from hurting somebody, from robbing somebody. So I allow him to come in there and get a little burn in. And then he go by his day. I tell him, just make sure you clean up, and he gone. So that's ways that I try to like make sure I still impact, because I know how big, mental.
Yes, and you providing a safe space for a lot of brothers and sisters that really need that that safe space, especially dealing with a lot of trauma induced coming from DC.
Oh, the quick question I want to ask, because like when you see people titles and stuff like that, one time everybody just called itself a personal trainer. But I noticed you call yourself coach. Give us a little something on that. Like, what's the significance of it, and what's like the difference in, I'm just saying I'm a personal trainer instead of me saying I'm a coach.
Right. Yeah, I like that question, because I'm one of the individuals, I just don't like being first put in a box, and that's what I was knowing when I came before even the trainer guy, the personal trainer. And that's why even on my social media, I don't really like train people how hard I used to, because now, of course, I'm running a business. I got trainers to do the work, and I train certain people, you know what I'm saying? Especially if we had capacity without trainers, but it's just people was putting me in a box as the trainer guy, and I do so much more. I'm so much more, even in regards to like return to citizen. I'm not, returning citizens was a part of me, but that's not who I am. Like, I'm a returning citizen, but that's not who I lead with. You know what I'm saying? I'm Mr. Weefield. I'm Coach JoJo. Like, that's who I am. And so just trying to be bigger. I also like act and stuff like that. And I just try to show people, like, even what I did with we fit Michael, that I can do whatever I want if I want to be great in content creation and acting and things like that with art therapy. And that's a whole nother thing that I'm really into, like arts, using the arts to actually break barriers in regards to confidence speaking. And I do that with a lot of my kids. So I just try to find different ways to not be in a box. And a lot of people try to put you in a box easy, and I don't believe in that. And coach is valuable because coach is so broad, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I just like, and I love when the kids call me Coach JoJo, so it just makes me feel good.
Everybody love the coach in the hood.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question because, you know, I always see you on social media. What was it like on American Ninja?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, American Ninja. And it was really intense. Like, and, you know, coming from acting, doing acting school for years now, but I still was just like I wasn't scared, but I was nervous. Like, nervous is good. Mike tells you, going to the ring bearing nerves, it's just how you channel it. But I was too amped up, and I also took like an energy drink, and that didn't even help me. It just made you
worse.
Because literally, so I went on American Ninja Warrior last year, season 13, and they allowed the crowd to be back, so it was a hybrid. So when I came up on the stage, they were just chanting my name, and I was like, "Whoa, I feel like a god!" Like, and it was too much. It was too much. And one of the little veteran players was like, Joe Morowski, they also called him the weatherman. He was like, "Don't rush." He said, "Your first time, don't rush." He said, "Let the little kids run. Just take your time and go through the obstacle." I end up just try to ball out and move super speed, and next you know I'm in the water swimming. Literally on the little balance one, I try to rush it, and I was like, oh my. So when I was in the water, I didn't want to come out. I was like, wow, man, this is so embarrassing. Like, I've been training so hard, because you could be, it don't matter how strong you are, whatever, you can be the best of the best. It's just you got to be like perfect on the obstacle courses. And I feel like, wow, I'm really good at doing this stuff, and it's really just fun, just being an athlete. But it was a great experience, and it challenged me. I love challenges, so yeah.
Right. So tell me, because We Fit is just not you. It's a conglomerate.
Yeah.
Tell me how you went about, collecting all the brothers that's with We Fit.
Yeah, before the pandemic, I was, doing my training and stuff like that, advocacy work, doing a lot of in regards to like return to citizens, spending a night out in front of DC jail, doing a lot of stuff like that. And pandemic came, bam, whole world shaking up. We don't know what to do, and gyms start shutting down. And I was just a little bit upset, a little bit like, wow, we can be better here in Ward 7 and 8. A lot of people dying high rates, but we ain't had the most cases at the time. I think it was like Ward 3 had the most cases, but they ain't had the most deaths. Ward 7 and 8 had the most deaths. And because, high blood pressure, diabetes, people with all these like health disparities. So I was like, I got to do something about it. And then, my mom died from underlying health issues and stuff like that. I seen her on dialysis, her whole body break down. And it was just like a lot of trauma, like vicarious trauma. It was just a lot of trauma going on. So what I did was I started going around. I got a camera. I was talking to Mousy. I had a conversation with Mousy about it. And I was like, yeah, I got this camera. I just want to show people how people not really fit in these areas in Ward 7 and 8. He was like, let's just drive around and interview people with your camera and just record them. So I interviewed Ed Hart with ATF. Yeah, I interviewed him. He was the first person I interviewed about what you think about Ward 7. Is DC really fit? Is we really considering Ward 7 and 8, these underserved communities? He gave me a speech. Then I interviewed Walter Hiller. I interviewed Walt. And Walt gave me a good piece, too, on the interview. And then I was just like, it's more I can do. Like, from there, I'm like, it's more I can do, because I just wanted to really highlight how bad we are over here. So, the pandemic, stuff's still getting worse. I said, what I did was, I said, you know what? I came up with, it was just a vision. I was at one of my boys' houses out Waldorf. I drove out there, and I actually was talking to Walt on the phone about it. And he was like, don't stress out over it, man. He was unstressed. And I was like, nah, we got to do something we got to do. And I was over at my boy's house, and it was my daughter's birthday. We celebrating her there at the moon bounce and stuff like that. And he was on the grill doing like some vegan stuff, because I've been vegan. He cooking, and he's vegan too. So he was on the grill. And I was like, I want to do a fitness thing, and I want to call it like, I was going over names. I was going over names. I was like, what about We Fit? because you got like the mayor initiative and stuff like that. And then I was like, I want to just throw we on top of it, be inclusive, like we, and really show them how we can really impact this thing. And that's what I did. And we set up a few weeks. I talked to Walt. It was Walt, Mousy, Ed, a few other Tone, a few of Rocco, and we met around Ben and Terrace in Ward 7. And we had the conversation. I still got the video of all us having the first meeting and that I organized. And it was a shootout literally at the meeting across the field with a basketball court. It was a shootout happened literally right there. We had me. So we was like, whoa. And then we still proceeded on to our meeting. And I was like, look, this is what I want to do. I want to do it in every hood. We're going to it's going to be like a tour. We're going to go in all these different neighborhoods that people scared to go in, and we're going to activate it. And we just got sparked. And when I started advocating, the first event we did around Valley Green, you're like, DPR, like, we're going to shut you down. You don't got a permit. You don't got a permit to do that. And I'm like, I'm just calling from God. We just going to do it. And when we did it, we had over 100 people out there for the first one. And Trayon came out there. White, the council member, came out there. It was just huge. And I knew Martha's Table provided me with fresh vegetables and nutrition, oranges and apples. And I knew, like, this is something special. Like, and I looked at it, I was like, this is something special. But how I came up, it was just something that just hit me. And I just wanted to do something. I wasn't thinking about a business. I wasn't thinking about a facility. This was never a big goal, like opening up a fitness studio. It became during the time, but it just happened, and I just executed it. Yeah, that's how it happened.
There it is. Solutions from the Yard. We'll be back.
Voices for a Second Chance is a comprehensive reentry program that provides culturally appropriate, trauma-informed, gender-specific, and peer-based services. Voices for a Second Chance bridges the gap from incarceration to community for tens of thousands of men and women in the District of Columbia. Our goal is for our clients to achieve a state of well-being and care as they transition from incarceration to community. You can help us continue our mission. For more information or to provide financial support, go to info@vscdc.org or visit www.vscdc.org. You've been listening to Solutions from the Yard. This podcast is presented by Voices for a Second Chance, a comprehensive reentry program that provides culturally appropriate, trauma-informed, gender-specific, and peer-based services. For more information, go to info@vscdc.org or visit our website at www.vscdc.org.